Hi class, this is Marshall Sponder, and I wanted to briefly go over the final project because it's different this semester, and it's different basically for 2018. The main thing that changed in 2018 is I heard what students were saying about final projects and the demand metrics, and decided that I wasn't going to make anyone do them, but that I was still going to provide them and give you extra credit. So what I provide here is just a template. I want you to change the style of this or the look of this somewhat to be yours. I decided not to give you any examples anymore because I'm getting too many cookie cutter responses from students that it's getting kind of boring to look at them because it's getting kind of hard to look at stuff that looks like so much the same. So let me just go over. The thing you need to give me is your name, your section, and the semester. And I would like it if you would save that information on your file name as well. But make sure that your project, if you're going to give me a project and not your workbook for half credit. If you give me your workbook, we'll just give you half credit for it as long as it's got most of the stuff in it, or all of the stuff in it. But if you're going to do the project, then you are going to give me this stuff, but get rid of these notes that I'm giving you. And get rid of the guidelines, because obviously I don't need that slide in the final presentation. I want you to customize. Now, if you only came up with this you have to do. You have to do but I don't make you use a modified demand metric spreadsheet to do it. I give you, there's even an online place where you can generate, just put in the values you get off of the various APIs I give you, and you can generate your own screenshots as long as you can see them. Now, I give you a little spreadsheet that's just a regular spreadsheet that you can use that puts the two of these together. So you can kind of, instead of having two charts, you could have one chart that has both. And that's nice. And so I gave you one you could use, or you could use the online one. I don't really care. I gave you that. And, like I say, if you don't want to use a spreadsheet at all, some of you don't want to use a spreadsheet, fine with that. Just use this. I found a little online generator here that will, you just put in the values and it'll create your spreadsheet. So there's no excuse for not doing this. And if there's an API issue with one of the APIs we use in the assessment, well, we'll come to that. Generally speaking, because I use public APIs for this, radar charts, from time to time, one of them goes south, or they change their terms of service, or something happens. During the semester, I get emails about that. I'll leave it. If you can't get a reading, just give yourself one, basically. If you can't get a reading, or you don't have presence in something, like you don't have a blog, just put one, So either you have no appreciable credit or very little presence. It's the same thing for this assessment. And granted, these assessments don't necessarily cover a lot of subtle changes. There's always things that could be improved, and I can only do so much. And I'm not going to try to make it more granular, but I think a lot of times, I think we could see more likely to see growth for every student if we did make it more granular. But I think in some cases we can at least see some changes from the beginning to the end of the semester. And the assessment 12A really should be done as close to the end of the semester as possible, because I want to get a good 3 months of difference between beginning and end. And if you do it like 3 weeks later, it's, I don't know what you really see, Now, again, if you, for assessment 3, if you didn't have if you decided you knew what your blog and taglines were, and you didn't feel like you needed to spend an hour or so generating with this demand metric spreadsheet that's optional, then just put them in, and you don't need this chart. I mean, maybe I would move these to the middle. Or maybe I put some other image in there. I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. I'm not going to tell you what to put in there. I don't want a cookie cutter project. I want creativity, you know. Let you wow me. But let's say you do the chart, you know, don't give me a hard time. If you decide to do it, get the Excel. If you don't have Excel, get it from the free place that all students can get it. Do the Excel. Don't use numbers. Don't use Google Charts or Google Sheets. Use Excel because there's macros that generate these charts, and they won't work. Or those other ones. Some of them won't work. So if you don't use Excel or you don't want to use Excel, then don't bother the bubble chart. If we see the bubble chart, we'll give you an extra 5 points for up to 3 of them, right? So if you decided to do them, and we see them, well, actually, in this case, if we see it here, we give you extra points. But we also, at the end, we also let you give us a couple of more. So actually, students could do quite well with this. It's only for the final project. For most students, the extra credit that they can all get is by giving me a really nice final project. And so the same thing with assessment 3. If you know your video taglines or you just don't feel like going through all of this and you're just going to throw into them, well, that's your choice. Yeah, you probably won't grow as much from the course in this respect, but that's your choice. You know, I'm not going to penalize you for it, but I will reward you if you actually do more work. I won't penalize you for not doing anything, but I'll reward you for doing it. So, and so will my GAs, and they will be instructed to do that. So you can see I put mine in there as such as I did last summer when I first put this together, when I first put the idea of this kind of project together. Assessment 4 is unchanged. Whatever your topics were, however you derive them, you still need to go to Follow or Wonk and come up with 8 accounts. And you can look through the results to get, and you may have to, you know, modify the way you word your topics in order to get it to work, you know. But so you might need to ad lib or, you know, again, come up with, iterate on your topics in order to get something that's useful here. The 5 is unchanged, and it's just using the assessment API. But if you have a new, some students aren't able to generate much of anything, you know, because they don't have enough data in their account. Same as with assessment 8. So whatever you get here, put in what you get. If you can't generate anything, then just say that on the slide in big letters, you know, sideways or something, that you couldn't generate it. I pared down assessment 6 for the 2018. There's a lot on viral, you know, there's a lot of good material in the viral section 6, but, you know, essentially I am more interested in this case in having students see what it would take to actually produce something that would be professionally shareable. And I stayed away from the rest of it because rest of it is really too hard to replicate in a course environment. And if I ever do a level 2 of this course, maybe I would go in a much bigger way with this kind of viral stuff, which is something we've been wanting to do. But in this course, I just want you to see, using an online questionnaire, if you were going to create a video, what would it be? Now, if you want to put some screenshot here of something to make it look nice that you're interested in or think you might create, that's fine. You know, it's always nice to make a project that looks really great. And of course, we only want these projects as a PDF or PowerPoint, nothing else. We won't accept anything else, okay? So just make clear of it. We won't accept anything else. Assessment 7 is different this semester. We have the use of meltwater, which I've given you the information in Course Essentials. I want you, from the Assessment 7, to take a couple of charts and paste them in here. You can certainly expand on that for this project and not maybe extra credit for us. Again, there'll be some leeway for us to have extra credit, but at any rate, I want those here. And assessment 8 is unchanged this semester. Again, if you created a LinkedIn account for this class and you don't have anything in it, you're probably not going to generate much, and just say that here. You don't have to worry about it. If the social selling dashboard if you can't get much of any data or you don't get all of it, don't worry about it. Just put down what you can, usually as a screenshot. And then assessment 9 has been changed this semester. It is simply answering a couple of questions. We had a bunch of exercises in the past with different APIs. I decided basically that while this was useful as an attempt, it really wasn't necessary. And I decided that I really wanted to pare down the project and not, I think sometimes less is more. And I feel that this is just really replicating and showing me in the context of a project as opposed to the online survey what the answers were. So we can quickly check that. Assessment 10 is unchanged. I don't have any elaborate exercises or things for people to do with Instagram or Pinterest, so I just want to know which accounts you have, if you have them, and how you think you can improve them. And you can put in whatever you feel you want here as far as a sentence or two or a paragraph or two. If you don't have a Pinterest account, for example, no big deal. Just put in whatever you can. Assessment 11 has been changed. It's been expanded this semester to use an article, nichehunt.com. It's the 10 tools to create viral explainer videos. Instead of calling them transmedia, they're really explainer videos, and there's 10 platforms that are talked about in that article, and I think 9 of them have free access where you can create your own. And I'm not even telling you which one to use. I want you to play and do whatever you want here. And as far as the subject is, it should be somewhat related to social media in this course, but I'm not going to limit you. Again, I've decided that I would like to step back and see what you come up with. I mean, you can be creative, or, like if you just go through the thing. Hell, if you don't want to do this project, just give us your workbook and you get half credit. Okay? Fine. But if you're going to go for the trouble of doing this, let me see what you come up with. Let's see what you think is related to social media. It can even be something in your internship or job that's related to something you learned in the course. Make a little explainer video. And because we use Portune in the past, but I think there's a lot of 9 or 10 different platforms that you could play with that pretty much all have their, little pros and cons. You can either use Portune or, that's the one we've been using, but now there's a lot more you can use. So go ahead and look at the article. They're listed in the assessment, but then we all want to see the explainer video and, maybe a paragraph about what you were trying to explain in the video. Assessment 12B, well, we did A with assessment 1, so we jumped to B. Assessment 12B is the Pico-Dash geolocation, and that was the only way I could really get a good geolocation, but it costs $8 a month, and there's 3-day trial, and you need a credit card or debit card, and many of my students don't have that. So if you want to opt out of this, it's fine. If you do it, it's fine. If you opt out, I understand, and nothing is held against you for that. Just tell us you opted out. That's all. Just say opt out here. Make it clear that you opted out. And then assessment. Then after that, basically, we're just asking you, which is more the last section 13, but after you've gone through section 13, you should be in a position to say, what do you think you're going to be trying to accomplish in your life or in digital marketing? Where's it going to take place? Who are the people, or who are the audiences you're directing it to? Where is it taking place, and when, I guess? and how you're going to do it. I guess tactics, people interpret that somewhat differently. And a lot of times in this class, they interpret that as channels, like social media channels. And key business requirements we explain in section 13, and the metrics we explain in section 13. So, if you fill that out, and then creative slides are necessary in this course. I give you 5 slides where you can put in whatever you want. Now, if we see a demand metrics in here, not only do you get the 5 points for this slide as part of the total project, but you get another 5 points for having a demand. Not the same ones that you might have put in for, but if you do it in a different one from the demand metrics list of spreadsheets that I give you in Course Essentials, go look. If you don't see them, go look. I get a lot of questions from students that, and I do the same thing. They ask me a lot of questions, and then the information's all in the course, and they just didn't read it. I understand sometimes there's a lot of information in these courses, but it's kind of frustrating when I get questions, and it's just because someone just didn't take the time to actually read through or listen to videos, or they just, then they ask me the same questions that I've already explained in the video. So try to look through this stuff before you go giving us a lot of questions about where the demand metrics spreadsheets are. When they're clearly in Course Essentials, all you have to do is go there and look for them. It's one of the pages where there's links to all of them that we're using in the course, or you can use in the course. Now, okay, actually I take it back. I said here that you could put the demand metrics here. No, these are just your ideation exercise. Okay, so now you have to really listen to my whole video. Actually, here's where the demand metrics should go if you've done those extra demand metrics. The others are just the creative slides. No, we don't give you the extra points there. Okay, sorry about that. And then you just write what you've learned from this project, and if you have permission, just share it. Maybe after this semester, if I see some really nice ones, I'll give examples for the summer and fall. But this time, I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to give you any examples. We'll be pleasantly surprised by what we get, and then that'll be it. So I welcome you to the 2018